ducks are in the kitchen, everybody. We were going to wait to press record, but we couldn't miss that.
Before you introduce me, yes, in case you hear quacking noises, it's not coming from my nether regions. It's actually coming from two ducks that like to come inside. We call them Albert and Victoria. And they've made themselves quite at home. They come in and they drink from the dog's water bowl and eat the dog food. Poor Watson, that's our bulldog, and Olive are terrified of them. But we've just seen them, haven't we, grooming the bulldog. Crazy.
We caught it on camera.
They're frightened of... He's frightened of them.
Yes, because what they've started doing is actually launching themselves. Actually, we've got a... don't start fighting now. They've got a window. We've got a window, like a stable door, and the top part of the door is glass. And if they can't get in, they start throwing themselves at the glass to get in. And one day we went out for dinner and accidentally left the top bit of the door open, came back, they'd flown in. There was duck crap all over the floor, white feathers all over the place. And the poor dogs were cowering in the corner. And these two little ducks were like henching like, yes. Look, see, now what?
Wreaking havoc. At my mum's house, I'm from the countryside as well. And one time we came back and the chickens had found their way into the house and they had eaten a bowl of cherries that was on the kitchen table.
Did they die?
No, they didn't. And then so we just followed this trail of like red chicken shit all the way to the living room. And we walked in the living room and they were all sitting around on the chairs and couches as if they were watching television.
That's amazing.
Just like chilling.
It's great.
These
isn't it?
birds.
There's never a dull moment. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother-in-law, Yvette Fielding.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello. For having me. Sorry, that was a bit of a funny entrance to your podcast, wasn't it?
No,
it couldn't
great.
have been more
Perfect.
fitting. There's always some shenanigan happening in that amazing household of yours, and I can't get enough. I miss it so much.
Oh, sorry about the ducks.
No, it's really fine. It's actually lovely. It's
they're
really
a real
lovely.
part of it.
Oh, for God's sake, and they're pecking at the oven. Anyway, never mind. You'll be in that oven in a minute. I tell you, duck l'orange. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Anyway.
No, it's great. It's
we're
lovely.
missing you, Lucy. Everything is beautiful and the garden is all lush and green and fabulous and it's all really lovely and the wildlife is going crazy and it's just gorgeous. And it's such a shame because, of course, when you were here, I think it was sort of wintry, then went into spring, didn't it? And then you left to go back to LA.
But last June on your property, you have the most incredible home and property out in the country, and it's just my heaven. I miss it every single day. I wake up in the morning and I go, God damn it, I'm not in England.
There you go.
We are very lucky that we have access to that because I think there is nothing more beautiful, in my opinion, than summer in England. Mm-hmm. It's like English summer countryside is that nothing can beat it. And it doesn't matter where I've been or where I've traveled or what I've seen or what lovely, lush tropical environment I've been in. For me personally, I think hands down.
Yeah, I would agree.
Definitely.
Well, I've done the best I can. I've surrounded myself with English people. You've
tried, love.
Here.
You've tried.
Annabel, I've got Will.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for you and Annabel to meet today.
I know. I'm excited.
And we're going to have
meet
a great chat.
I
can
know.
talk about some good stuff.
I've done some research and heard things from yourself and Will, and seen a bit of your work.
Oh, God.
Yeah, of course.
We'll tell everybody how we're connected in a minute here.
So, Lucy, well, you just did. I thought you just said.
Well, I mean, how Yvette and I met in the first place.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which I've talked about before.
Well, how did you meet? Tell us now.
We met because Yvette, aside from being an incredibly famous and successful actress in England and television host,
an author,
and
Annie Lennox impersonator.
Annie Lennox impersonator.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But yes, your book that is for pre-release on Amazon, everywhere books are sold, The House in the Woods. This is the next release in your line of this book. Is it a trilogy?
Well, yeah, I've written the second book, so it's
okay. So you have a second.
Yeah, so the Ghost Hunter Chronicles, and I've written 2 books. The first comes out on the 30th of September, and the second comes out.
Already pre-ordered my copy.
Yes.
Everybody go pre-order your copy.
Yes, and it's great. It's gone to #1 today in the Amazon.
Congratulations!
I know, for children, best children's #1 in children's ghost stories, and #2 behind J.K. Rowling in Movers and Shakers. People,
we're so excited for you. It's so exciting.
Hey, if I make it big, Luce, just remember, there's a lot of money coming to you in my inheritance.
Yes. Well, you've been making it big for a very long time.
Yeah, God.
And one thing along your career path that I became obsessed with many years ago was that you are the host of Most Haunted, which is the #1 paranormal show in all of UK.
I think Europe as well.
It's all over the world, Most Haunted. And I was a super fan, 15 years ago. Is when I think my obsession started. And it wasn't until social media became available that I was able to connect with you and become friendly with you and Carl. And then we were friends for several years before you said, oh, come to think of it, I have a son named Will, and he's a musician, and you two should know each other. And you put us in touch, and we took a FaceTime, very businesslike, very professional, and we talked about the music, and we ended up falling madly in love. And then I came to England and was able to meet you after all that time of adoring you from afar. And never would I have imagined that I would now be wearing your beautiful ring on my finger.
I know.
What a
which is
beautiful
what Will gave me when we got
I have
engaged.
the smaller one.
I see you have the sister ring on your hand.
That's William went straight for the big one.
He went straight for the big one.
Smart guy.
But it means so very much to me to have your ring passed down to me, and just to be part of the family now. It's an amazing miracle that happened. It hadn't how I feel for you and how much your family means to me as friends had nothing to do with how deeply I fell in love with Will. And that's the beauty of it, is it was completely unrelated. And yet the whole thing is just this big, beautiful love story and a joining of all these loves in this family. And
I know, God,
I'm so grateful for
well, when we come over, hopefully in September, be prepared to be squeezed to death. And you, Annabel, don't feel like you're going to be left out.
You're going to be on the next series of her ghost hunting show as a ghost, because she's going to murder you by squeezing you to death.
Yeah. So today we want to talk about your book. We want to talk about ghosts. We want to talk about all kinds of things. And let's just get right to it. So Annabel has been collecting these questions, and she's got some juicy stuff for you. So are you game for some?
I'm holding on to my underwear. Go on there, Annabelle.
Okay, let's go. Let's see what we've got.
Okay. So you are born in Stockport.
I was. No, I wasn't born in Stockport, but I was sort of brought up in Bramhall and Poynton, and which is in the sort of Greater Manchester area.
Yeah. So my dad was from Stockport as well.
Was he
so
really?
when I read that,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I got a little thrill when I read that, because I thought, well, obviously just where legends are made.
Well, do you know, I went to Stockport Convent, which your dad will have known, and it was behind.
I'm sure he was hanging around at Stockport Convent.
Well, I don't know what school. Stop it! Sorry, that's just the dogs attacking the duck.
Is that a duck or a dog?
Probably. Who knows? But your dad would have known the Davenport Theatre, and behind the Davenport Theatre was Stockport Convent, and then there was Stockport Grammar School. I don't know if you know what school he went to, but we used to look at the boys. I was only little. We used to look at the boys and the girls, the older girls, look at the boys through the fence, because we were all separated. And Stockport convent was run by nuns. Oh my God! Some of them were evil.
Oh my God!
I found a picture of her on Facebook, and as soon as you look at the picture, you don't even have to. You just know straight away, evil. She just looks evil. In fact, she's got glasses to the ones I'm similar, but she's got points on the end of them. She's got like a middle parting, and her hair's all scraped back. And I remember I wet myself. Well, she didn't let me hear the end of that, did she? Oh, she was just awful. And I remember her saying to we were all 5 in the junior school, and she said, who here hasn't been to church on Sunday? And we all put our little hands up, and she called us all out, and then she took a wooden ruler and smacked our hands that way and that way. We were only 5. Yeah, so it'd be interesting. Wow. Yeah, so your dad would have known.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have. I mean, my aunties probably know. It's like when I hear you talk, it sounds like it kind of just like sounds like my family a little bit. It's really nice.
Well, you're really posh, Annabel. What happened? Where did you move to?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Annabel, you're so posh.
Well, I was raised in the South, and I went to just like private schools where everyone had a posh accent. So I guess that's just.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. I'm loving it. Yeah. At least you don't say Annabelle, because I would have slapped.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I'm not. Will always makes fun of people, and he goes, yeah. I go to the gym, yeah.
No, I don't. I say a lot, but I don't go. I'm not quite at the. It's the open vowels. Yeah, darling. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the accent.
I just said it. Oh, it's awful. Well, you've got a lovely accent, Annabelle.
Thank you.
Very
I like to think.
Nice. It's not over the top. It's just I'd be very proud to say this is Annabel. She's from England.
Instead, your children speak like pirates. I mean, Will and Mary sound like they're sailing the deep blue sea with peg legs.
Oh, I love that. They've got all sorts of strange accents going on, haven't they?
I know.
Well, I definitely get like a lot of shit from northern people for my accent. Like I get prejudged immediately, and I'm just like, well. I would never in a million years be like, you guys, I'm half northern, because I know they would just laugh me off of the
what
face
is it,
of the earth.
north-south line in England?
They just like hate each other, and I don't know. I mean, I know why it is, but it's a conversation for a whole nother day. But it's just, I'm always like ready to get.
You're just jealous. People that have a go of your accent, Annabelle, are just jealous because you've got a beautiful voice. And I'm not just saying, you genuinely have. I would tell you, Lucy would know, I would actually say, God, Annabelle, I think your accent stinks. But it doesn't. It's really nice. And I think a lot of people that have a go, or, they're just ignorant and stupid.
And I think it's judging. I think the same for the South as well. I think that there's a lot of judgment towards the North that I just think is so unnecessary. And actually, I think there are things socially and just kind of like in the familial sense, so many things about the North are so much nicer than the South. I think that the way that people treat each other is nicer. I think the communication is nicer. I think people are more friendly. I think the South could learn a few things from the North, personally.
See, I married a Southerner, so Carl is from down south.
And so you can't pick a side.
No, I can't pick a side at all. But I do know what you're talking about. There is this, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, you're from up north, are you? You got your whippet, black cab. Oh, shut up.
Yeah. Oh, heck. All of that.
No,
you can take a bath. Yeah.
Do you hear me saying, oh, heck? Do you? No.
You know what's funny? You do a lot of different accents on your podcast, which we also have to talk about.
I love how Lucy, daughter-in-law, likes to plug and get things. She's the professional, isn't she? Plugging and getting it all in there.
She's media trained within an inch of her life, this one.
You're always writing those little plays for your podcast, which I got to be a part of one time, and it was so funny.
I remember watching that on your Instagram stories and thinking... Because I was like, oh, God, she's going to meet the family. Because I didn't know you that well at that point yet. But I thought, oh, fucking hell, she's like met this guy's family already. And you guys were all sitting around and just howling, laughing. And I thought, this is great. This is going to be a success.
That's not.
The Anytime podcast, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
The Anytime podcast is hilarious. And Yvette does tons of different accents.
Well, it's very rude.
I need to listen to that.
It's
very rude. It's very rude.
Really rude.
Good. That's what I like.
Well, we have myself and Glenn, who's the other host, And then we have our mums on there. So my mum is 71. And Agnes, who is Glenn's mum, is from Scotland. And you can't understand the goddamn words she said.
Oh my God.
You can understand what I'm
call her all the time.
Oh my
You can hear what I'm saying now, can't you? You can understand, right? This is Agnes. Oh, wait, you've got to really heavy unit. I'm so heady. What?
My best friend Layla, her family are from Scotland, and I can understand them individually. And then as soon as they get together, I'm just sitting there like, I'm going to need subtitles on this one.
I know.
I'm not.
Exactly. Glaswegian.
I'm not understanding.
It's the worst because when that's such a thick Scottish accent, and when they go, I can't do a glass. It's so, you can't understand it. It's a completely different
It's
language.
so hard.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
So anyway,
people don't appreciate that.
No, you've got the two mums sitting there, and just to give you an example, we will say a little part of it is word to your mothers. So I will then say this week's word is queening. What is queening? And the mothers, being 71 and nearly 80, will then have to work out between the two of them what that word is. And they will come out with all sorts of very innocent things, when actually it has a disgusting meaning. So the first
What does it mean?
Oh my God. It means when somebody sits on somebody else's face in a sexual manner.
Okay, got it.
Right?
Got it.
And the other one, the first one we did to them, these poor little old ladies, was rimming.
You can't. This is elder abuse. You cannot do this.
And you've got Agnes going, rimming. Oh, rimming. Okay.
This sounds like something I would love to listen to. I am definitely tuning in. My God. I didn't even know.
No, it's pure filth. And then you've got a character called Reg Corker, who is a medium psychic, who's from Liverpool.
Oh, I had a good bit with Reg Corker.
And he comes in. I'll just do a very brief impression of him. He will come in and, right, I'm connecting with my spirit guide, white sperm. Oh, my white sperm is coming all over me. It's coming all over me now. And then like we do live shows, so people will pay, I don't know why, to come and buy tickets, and we'll have a live audience, and Reg Corker, the medium, will come in, and he'll have two coat hangers with a balloon on the end, and he'll go up to people, these are me skank detectors, you're a dirty skank. And then he'll just go over people and tap them on the top of the head with a balloon, and then insult them, pretending he's connecting with the other side.
So I love this. This is like proper old school UK entertainment.
You just gave her so many ideas for our podcast.
No, it's so I love it. I love it. It's almost like it's almost like vaudevillian, but
it is.
It's and I love that because my dad was that was his. He was vaudevillian, and that was his passion, and it's what he was great at. And it's like an art that I think isn't really, used much anymore. It seems to be slightly coming back, I feel, into the mainstream. I've seen a few things recently where I've thought that I feel like it's coming back, but I love that. It's like Punch and Judy vibes.
It's so great.
But you've had such an incredible career, and I just wanted to talk about, you've been on so many shows. You've obviously got your own show, Most Haunted, and all of the kind of like affiliate shows of that. You've been on, just for the listeners and our UK people, Americans, this might go over your head, but you've been on The General, City Hospital, Bite Gag Grove, Stars in Their Eyes, where you were Annie Lennox, which I love.
Oh, have you seen that? Oh, God.
No, I haven't seen it. We'll definitely put a clip on the Instagram, though.
Okay.
I used to be gone, and so restless nights. For you to see.
You've been on the Jonathan Ross show, Never Mind the Buzzcocks, Come Dine With Me. This is just like a couple of the things that you've been on. These are like UK's most iconic shows.
As well as the youngest host of Blue Peter.
Exactly, which I was going to say was that you started as, you had a show before that, but you started as that was your big moment, wasn't it? You went on to Blue Peter and it was like, pow, here I am. You were the youngest host ever and the most beloved host, it seems like. You won awards for, you know, funniest moments, best episodes, all of those things. And that must have been such a crazy experience, because Blue Peter was one of those things that is just like it's everyone's childhood. Maybe not so much anymore. I don't know. I don't have kids, so I'm not sure what the culture is anymore. But even when I was a kid, it was just like you just watched it. It was like you knew what happened every week. There was, here's one I made earlier. God, I'll never forget that line in all my life. You know, like they would make things and then they would.
Neither would I.
And I just wanted to give people a background on you with all that stuff. But it says here that you won an award for most popular woman on television. And the people you were up against were Cilla Black, Victoria Wood, and Kylie Minogue. Like you beat all those bitches and you were the most popular woman, which I think says so much about how the public feels about you, your character, your career, because I think that obviously, I think I see you as like a little bit of an underdog. It's like you might not be the first name on the tip of everyone's tongue, but obviously it's like you've done so much. You're there, you're tried and true. People love you. You're like a cult icon at this point with the brand that you've built.
Oh,
and
I'm coming on it again. I'm telling you, I won't be able to walk out. My head's the size of a balloon.
But I love that about you, and I love, you know, I don't know you, but I just see you smiling all the time, and you have such a positive attitude, and there's not much about your personal life online, which I assume is probably a choice of yours, but you seem like a really happy and positive person. Is that your natural state? Is that something that you've had to work at with everything that you have going on in your life? You know, all I can glean from you really is that you're happy, and that you're really madly in love with your husband from a personal perspective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That would, yes, you've hit the nail right on the head. I think, do you know what? Your dad's, you know, I think a lot of people from the North and that sort of working class background, you know, like myself, and I was brought up by my mum and dad and my grandparents to, you know, you only get out of it what you put in, you know, work your ass off. My granddad always used to say, it's always nice to be nice, Yvette, now. Come on, be nice, be positive. And I grew up with that mantra. And my dad used to always say, make sure you keep your feet on the ground. Don't ever let, you know, this career, this whatever, make you feel like you're bigger than you actually are. And I've always had that. And as we all have, the three of us met, you know, big stars and people in our careers who do think that they are, I don't know, the
hot shit.
Well, yeah, and it's just like, hang on a minute, you're a tiny, tiny, tiny part of this world, and, you know, who do you think you are talking to other people like that? You know, this is supposed to be fun, this business of ours called show. You know, it's fun, and it's supposed to be fun, so stop taking yourself far too seriously. But you're right, I just think that happiness is the key to, you know, to everything, and also to be happy within yourself. But I think that only comes when you get older. So when you're in your 20s and 30s, I feel that, for me anyway, personally, I think you're still trying to find yourself, and you're still trying to sort out your career and where am I going and which direction am I going in, and you're wanting to pursue your career, make the best of everything you've got, and you're wanting to make money and this, that and the other. And it's only when you get, I think, into your 50s that suddenly you are happy within your shell, you're happy within your skin. And you, so what if you've got a bloody muffin top? So what if your thighs chafe and you have to wear those pants under the dress that stop the friction from setting your flame retardant nightie aflame? You know, it's you don't, I mean, you care about your appearance, but it's not as important to you. Other things become so much more important. And I just look back and I think it does. It comes back to my upbringing, my parents, my grandparents, that northern culture, as it were, you know. And happiness, that's it, you know. That's
I think it's so interesting that you're saying that. My dad was sounds like very similar messages that he received as a young man. And my dad was humble to a fault. You know, I feel like he could have done to be a bit more of a star. I mean, we always joke. I'm just like, you're Joe Walsh wasted on this one here. I'm just like, I feel like my dad was so like not rock starry. I feel like your dad's like mega rock star.
My dad's super rock star.
And my dad just wasn't. Like, he was so humble. He got everything from the fucking Goodwill thrift store, like from the charity shop. All his clothes. He had like.
I mean, my dad grew up poor, but once he hit it, he
like,
went
I'm
for it.
here.
Yeah, he was like,
My
am.
dad never did.
The
Never,
shit.
never flew first class.
Yeah.
I remember when we were cleaning out his house after he died. He went to Vegas one time for a show or whatever to perform. And he bought a bottle of Cristal for the group. And this is a really, do you know, champagne is stupid, ridiculous, like $600 for a bottle.
Yeah, she's got 10 in her kitchen.
And he bought this bottle of Cristal for the group. And it was like the most expensive drink he'd ever bought, or like thing he'd ever bought. And he kept the box. I found it in his bedroom. Like, he was so humble. All of his clothes, his furniture, everything, never traveled first class. I never, not one time, saw even a glimmer of a look at a fan, or I don't have time for you, or any of that. He knew that he had the life he had as a result of these people, these fans, these people gave him and me, and that was drilled into me as well. You be nice to them, you are polite, you smile, and you have manners because these people have given you your life. And, you know, I think that's a beautiful gift to have, because, I mean, it keeps your head on. And as far as the happiness stuff, I found that age chat really interesting, because I felt a huge relief when I turned 30. I was like, thank fuck my 20s are over. They were a disaster. They were a nightmare. And I think nobody really prepares people in their 20s for how hard they're going to be and what a shit show they're going to be. It's like you're straddled between your childhood and your adult life, and for the whole time you are stuck between the two places. And then in your 30s you go into this next phase. And then I'm looking forward to being older for that reason, because I want to get to that place where I'm just like, but I will say the recent experience I've had with losing Ryan and Max has eliminated so much of that stuff for me, whereby now I am so not caring about things that I thought were important before. And I feel like I've slightly gotten ahead in the race, you know, in a way, because my values are so different now, and what matters to me and what I think is important and all that stuff, which I think probably would have taken me much longer to learn in a
Yeah, it definitely was a fast track to waking up.
Do you feel like your 30s are much more comfortable than your 20s?
I did not become comfortable until about a year ago, when you came into my life, Yvette. The last couple years for me, as the listeners know, has been very tumultuous, and it's been a near-death experience with having the stalker, which was my wake-up call. Yours was losing Max and Ryan, and that was a near-death experience for you, because you were almost in that car with them. And you are in that car in your heart. And so you went through the loss. And it reset everything for you. Yeah. And it happened to me when the stalker showed up at my door and was trying to get in with weapons, and I was home alone and I could see the doorknob turning. So those kinds of things in our life really wake us up and make us go.
They shape you. They shape. Yeah, absolutely. And when you get God, you've got years and years yet before you get to where I'm at. But my God, it's like everything goes in circles. So they say, don't they, every 7 years you change. So your tastes change, your taste in music, your taste in food, everything. It goes around into, and it happens again. You know, when you get to your 50s, all of a sudden, especially to women, you know, we change again. And it is, and especially, you ladies don't know yet, but wait till you hit that goddamn menopause. And this is another thing, is that there's not enough on this. There is not enough information about what women and men go through in their 50s. You imagine you're married, you've been married for so many years, and then all of a sudden the husband looks at the wife and goes, oh my God, she's gone batshit crazy. She's crying all the time. She's depressed. She's screaming at me for no reason. I don't know what the hell I've done wrong. So they divorce. They split up.
Yeah.
And it's because of this horrendous menopause thing that's gone. I mean, fortunately, all I can say, I won't go on about it, but HRT ladies, and don't, HRT, fecking marvellous. Bloody
What's
marvellous.
HRT?
So it's hormone replacement therapy.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got years for that. So, but come back to me when you're 50 odd, and I'll
Okay.
put false teeth in. Yes,
Get some tips.
False teeth in. Yeah, Annabelle, what you're saying, yes, you completely were transformed through losing Max and Ryan. I've had transformative things happen. And Yvette, what I hear you saying is that as you get older, you just move deeper and deeper into gratitude.
Yes.
Is really what it is for yourself and for everything you have. And you in my life have been a huge teacher in appreciating myself and letting go of comparing myself to others. You are the most beautiful woman to me because you're free within yourself and you share that with other people. And that's what Annabelle said so beautifully. You are so at peace and so grateful for you and everything you have created in yourself that you are then such a light in the room for everyone around you. And that's...
Oh, that's lovely.
You just emoted in every way.
I'm actually getting emotional as you're talking to me. Stop it, woman.
Okay. Well,
all right,
we'll move on.
But,
so Most Haunted is after Blue Peter. Would you say that Most Haunted was your like big comeback? You're just like, fucking hell, I'm back, and I'm like,
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, how did that journey happen?
It was bizarre. It was just an idea that Carl and I had, and we put all our life savings into the pilot program. We paid for it all ourselves. We got our friends to film it. And we never thought we did a pilot show, but I don't know what it was. I now believe it was spiritual. I now believe that it was something from another realm that was pushing us to do this, because it was bizarre. I've never felt, it was like, honest to God, like somebody was behind us. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I mean, I remember both of us in tears because we were worrying. We thought, oh my God, we can't pay the mortgage. We've sunk all our money into this program. And then it took 6 months. And every meeting we went to, pitch meetings, no, this will never work. No, we don't want it. No. And it was purely a friend of a friend who took it. And Carl slid it was VHS then, that's how many years ago it was, slid it across the desk and said, tell me what's wrong with it. So he put it in the video player. And he watched the whole pilot and he just didn't say anything. He took it out, was really quiet. Carl was like, oh my God, he's going to tell me it's absolutely appalling. And he passed the video cassette back to Carl and said, I want it. I want 16 episodes. And I remember Carl ringing me and I remember falling to my knees, crying. But the reason why I remember falling to my knees was I was picking up Mary's Lego bricks and I actually went down and banged my knee on the Lego brick. No. But with the pain, but I was pleasure and pain. I was going, oh my God, this is amazing. We can have the most amazing Christmas. And it was a fantastic time. And we made this series and we enjoyed doing the series. Sorry, it's a dog. Enjoyed doing the series, and never in a million years did we expect the show to go on as it did. And
how many seasons has it been now?
I can't remember. It's 20 odd.
20.
It's like 21 years.
25.
21 years. 22 years.
And on Most Haunted, you go into supposedly, or you've heard or you read, or historical haunted locations, and what do you do in there?
Well,
I can tell this.
Well, you can go ahead, Luce. You describe it.
Here's the thing that I love about Most Haunted, and I'm very snooty about ghost shows.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
I grew up seeing paranormal things, and so there's so many just horrible, horrible shows that are.
I agree with that.
loads
As
of
somebody
crap.
that grows up with that energy around them and knowing and understanding that there is more out there than what we see in like 3D. When I see stuff that misrepresents that, or people that misrepresent that,
When you see people faking
I
it.
just think, you're just really ruining
me
this for
angry.
all the rest of us.
Exactly, and it makes me very angry that people do that. But anyway, when I came across Most Haunted, it was different. And the thing I really liked about the show is that they go to the most incredible locations. They go to castles, prisons, regular houses, pieces of land. You've done outdoor episodes, all kinds of things. And they take with them a really interesting group of people. They've always got a historian with them.
Okay.
They've got a medium sometimes. They've got a skeptic. They have somebody who's thinking about the science behind things. They have an EVP expert, which is a recording of a spirit voice.
Electronic voice phenomena.
Thank you. They've captured many, many electronic voice phenomenons. And they really give you a great hour of the history of the place. They do a walk around in the light and they talk about different reported happenings. And then they go into darkness overnight and they see what they can capture on camera. And sometimes they'll do seances, sometimes they'll do Ouija boards, sometimes they'll get the tapping that happens that I have now been fortunate enough to witness with you, Yvette, several times now. And then they let you make up your own mind.
Today, Gresson Hall Farm and Workhouse is a museum, and even though many tens of thousands of people walk through the doors each year, a few from its past seem to have stayed. Dark shadows are said to lurk in the corners, cries of the young are heard throughout the building, footsteps are heard echoing along empty corridors, and the spirits of the long dead are seen and heard still toiling through their daily chores.
They're not trying to make you feel any way about it, they're just exploring. And they've always claimed to be just that. They're paranormal investigators and explorers, and they're not, they're not shoving it down your throat. They're just showing you.
Yeah.
Look what we found.
Exactly.
Well, that sounds like something people would love who listen to this show. I want to know how you came to it.
This is what I'm saying. That's why I believe it was a spiritual thing. So is it 21, 22 years ago, Carl and I were at home, and a colleague of ours, who was a cameraman, was dropping off a part of a car, like a dog gate inside a car that you put in your boot. And because we had the same cars. And he knocked on the door and he said, "I just thought you might like this because I'm getting rid of my car. Come in, have a cup of tea." So we came in and we were chatting about work and everything. And he said, he said, "We've had a fabulous weekend." He said, "We've just come back from this place called Michelin Priory in East Sussex. Wow, what a location. And it's a fantastic venue. But the owners are trying to get a lot of publicity, So if we know anybody within our circles that wants to do any publicity or film there or anything, he's up for it. He's up for you to use the location." Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. And as he was leaving, he said, "I forgot." He said, "And it's haunted." He said, "Apparently there's it's something like the 10th most haunted location in the world or in the UK, I can't remember now, and it's got like 13 ghosts." And Carl and I sort of looked at each other, and he went, and then Carl looked at me and he said, would you spend the night in a haunted house? And I'd watched Blair Witch like a month before, and I said, I'd be bloody terrified. I said, "But yeah, we could do it." I said, "What if we got those night vision cameras?" And then it clicked, and we sat up all night and we kept writing out all the ideas. And the bed was, I remember, covered in paper. And the initial title was the shittest title of a TV program.
What was it?
Yvette's Haunting Truths. I mean, how crap is that?
That should be the name of your autobiography.
It should be. No, that's called Here's One I Screamed Earlier. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
So that's how it came. So that's how it came about. Yeah, and that
really is.
Yeah, bizarre.
Like you were guided to something. It's
exactly.
so interesting.
And I truly believe that we are here to help people. We're here to help other people. Now, however that may be, but I think if we just carry on in our lives, going about our business, going to work, doing this, that, the other, I think that's so sad. I think if we can somehow help people, no matter how small that gesture may be, it has a knock-on domino effect. It's the butterfly effect. Even if I went up to a woman randomly. She was sat in the doctor's surgery and I'd just bought some flowers for myself. And she looked so sad. And I just went up to her and I said, I want you to have these flowers. Well, her face lit up. And I just think, your listeners, you do that. Just go out and buy, it doesn't have to be expensive, a little bunch of flowers and go up to a random stranger and give them a bouquet. Well, it'll make their day. How lovely. Yeah. And you go home thinking, I've made somebody happy today. And I just think that's what we should all do. We're all put on this planet to do something. And with Most Haunted, I think that whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, like Lucy said, you make up your own mind. But it's there to help people who have lost loved ones, to give them that bit of faith, that little bit of belief that there is another life, that we do go on somewhere. And I'm telling you now, in my experience in 20-odd years, I'm not an expert, only the dead are experts, but in my experience of investigating the other side and speaking to them, there is 100% life after death, and we will meet our loved ones again. I know that 100%. They can hear us. They can see us. Every Father's Day, I buy my father a Father's Day card. The knocking came through on my brother's birthday. The table was going crazy. I've not told you this.
Oh, really?
And me and my dad have been watching movies together. I've said to him, can you tap out what movie you'd like to watch? And he's tapped out. The first one was, what was the first one? Oh, God, Dirty Harry. I've never seen Dirty Harry in my life. So I'm sat there.
Brian's favourite movie.
Was it?
Brian's favourite movies?
Yeah, and when I met him, he had a Dirty Harry poster above his bed.
There you go, see, Dirty Harry. Then he tapped out the Vikings, which was bizarre because only the night before I'd downloaded it and watched it. And now he's tapped out. I said, what's the next one? Magnificent Seven. I've never seen the Magnificent Seven, and it really upset me because it's $7.99
He's going to take you through all the classics.
I know, but my dad loved all that. And so I've been told they can see us and they can hear us. So anybody out there that has lost a loved one, please, please, please believe me, making me all emotional. They can hear you. They can see you. You will see them again. Please believe me when I tell you that. It's so true. The littlest gesture, the littlest thing. When you're talking out loud, hey, Dad, what do you think of this? Or, should I get that? They can hear you. And they don't want to see you cry. They don't want to see you upset because it upsets them. And that's why a lot of spirits, we call them spirits, I don't like people, let's call them people because they're still there.
Oh, interesting.
They're around. They don't want to see you upset. They want to know that you are happy and you are getting on with your life. You're getting on with it. They don't want to see you all miserable and crying, oh, I miss you so much. Yes, of course we miss them. But they are having a blast. They're having a bloody ball and they don't want to come back. They all say every time.
Nobody has ever said they want to come back.
Nobody wants to come back. Never in a million years. They are so happy. They always spell out the word. Tell me what the feeling was like when you left your body and you went to the place you are now. Bliss. Blissful. It was the most amazing feeling. Sorry to go. You can tell I'm very passionate about this. Yeah. But my dad came through, and he does this a lot in a very, very vivid dream. And a lot of the time when you lose someone, it may be a long time, maybe a couple of years, but at some point in your life, you will have a very vivid dream. And that's them coming to you to show you that they're all right, or they're wanting to give you a message. Well, my dad came through to me, and my God, the feeling was, it's this, I can't even put it into words. The feeling that he gave me was the most amazing love. And this is what we're missing on this plane. If we could all experience this amazing, wonderful love, there wouldn't be wars in the world. There just wouldn't. So he was and he hugged me, and he looked so young. His skin was amazing. His eyes were the bluest of blue, and I can tell he was wearing a lilac-y, bluey, like a linen short-sleeved shirt, tucked in with chinos, for God's sake. And I could, and he hugged me, and I could feel his warmth, and I was crying, and I woke up with tears streaming down my face because I knew it was real, and I knew that he'd come to see me and to show me that he's so happy. And then he showed me a couple of other times me flying through the windscreen of a car. And he showed me this feeling and what it was like to die in that moment. And oh my God, the feeling was the most, again, this, I can't describe it. It was this wonderful sensation of absolute pure love and like belonging. And I didn't want to go back. I did not want to go back. And I woke up in this, it was bizarre, in this sort of, with this beautiful tree and these hospital beds, weirdly enough. And I was told that when people go over very quickly and traumatically, this is the spirits telling me that the human soul comes out of the body before impact. So they don't feel anything. What they feel is this amazing, pure, oh my God, this blissful feeling. And then sometimes they're like, what the hell's happened, dude? Oh my God, where the hell am I? And then they come round and they're in this beautiful garden with this beautiful tree. And it's just the most amazing place. And I truly believe that a lot of people don't want to know, the powers that be don't want us all to know about this, because if we did, it would affect religion. It would reflect a lot of people that are unhappy in this world. They would be, well, I'm going to go and kill myself, and that's not what we want. We don't want that to happen. So, but I can't express to you enough how real it is and how beautiful it is, and how we are the ones that suffer, the ones that are left, not them. They are so happy. Anyway, sorry, got very passionate there.
No.
Yvette, I want to share so many experiences that I've had with you since we've become family. We've had amazing seances at your house. But I want this time, if it's all right, to be between you and Annabel for anything that she might want to ask having to do with Max and Ryan.
Of course,
if you would give us that opportunity.
Yes,
I'd really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to...
I mean, obviously that was really emotional hearing you talk about that stuff, because obviously that's what I want to believe. Sorry.
Darling, it is, and do you know, all day.
And I believe it in my core. I believed it before, and I obviously now more than ever, my beliefs would be tested in a situation like this. And you may have heard, I don't know if you listened to the podcast or not, but Ryan knew he was going to die young. He knew that, and I knew that, and he told me that, and it was a joke, but it was very much a part of our life and the conversations we would have. He would ask me weekly, what are you going to do when I die? Who are you going to talk to about this? What are you going to do with my body? The whole, and he needed me to tell him every week. And I feel that Ryan and Max had a cosmic pull to one another there. I obviously don't want to share too much about their families and things like that, but they met when they were very young boys, I think maybe 12, and they were very drawn to each other. And I think that the families didn't love them hanging out together because they would get too raucous together. And they had so many times in their life where they would come together and it would be explosive and they would go apart, and they were just drawn to each other again and again. They could not be kept from one another. And I think that was written out for them in the stars. That I believe that was an instinctive thing within their parents and within their mothers to want to keep them apart, because I think that instinctively everyone knew their mothers are both very spiritual people, and even though they're Christians, they're very deeply connected to something, both of them, I feel. And I think that it was coming all along, you know, and I very much feel I watched Ryan's soul prepare to leave here. I would never have said something like that before this experience, but I watched a man prepare to die. I did.
What made you feel that? How did it, in what ways?
He really was seeking the answers to questions. He always had since I'd known him. He had a list of albums he absolutely had to listen to. He would do full discographies, movies, books, the whole thing. He would read a book. It was like he couldn't get it in fast enough, and we would have conversations where I'd be like, just calm down, it's fine, like you have time. And he'd be like, I don't have time. I do not have time. And he would get frustrated by it, and he would work from the moment he was living 110% from the moment his eyes opened to the moment he fell asleep, and he could not fit enough in. And as far as him preparing, his soul preparing, he had become very calm, very peaceful. He was becoming much more spiritual. He was becoming always been very materialistic. He would look at his watches and say, you know, I look at this now and I don't feel anything for it. It doesn't make me feel anything. I don't want any of these things anymore. He got rid of a lot of his personal possessions. We were getting rid of the car that they died in. We were going to be getting rid of that the following week. He was reading all of this spiritual stuff about being in the moment, being here now. He would practice dying. He would lie there and practice. And he was both terrified of death, but absolutely obsessed with it. And everything he did was about his legacy. He wanted to set up systems that would outlast him. And the day that he died, he went to see a hypnotist that morning. And she is the only hypnotist left that's alive that studied under Ericksonian hypnosis. And he went, and she said to him, why are you here? You have nothing left to learn. And she said the last thing that needs to be in your brain is that there is a block between you and the moment, and that's what we're going to work on today. And that day, he said that he felt for the first time in his life there was not a veil between him and the moment.
Wow, interesting.
And he had some family relationship stuff that he was working on, and him and one of his brothers had been having, you know, troubles in their relationship. He called him that day, and I said, just please, you've had a good day, like don't do this to yourself, like you've got time. He said, I don't, it has to be today. There's just all these signals and conversations we had and things he did, and you know, I've got video footage of him trying to figure out why he's saying certain things about not being here. And I know what I saw. And it's the same with Max, you know, and I'm not the only one close to Max that has said a similar thing. Max was very light. He was very loving. Max wasn't a very affectionate person, but he was unbelievably affectionate in those last weeks. He came home one day and he picked me up and he held me and he swung me around and danced with me in the kitchen. And he was having very psychic experiences, and he and I talked about that a lot. And he's like, it's really weird, since I've been in LA, I'm having really, really psychic experiences, and it's kind of freaking me out, and keep having these dreams. He said, I had a dream I died, and it was the most blissful experience. And it's changed how I feel about dying. If that's it, then I don't mind. And he said, I feel guilty saying it, but it was just the most incredible feeling.
There's a scientist, I've forgotten his name, who actually goes through, there are stages that you go through in preparation for death. And some of the things that you've mentioned are those stages. that you're sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously aware of actually doing. And it's only like yourself, your loved ones afterwards will say, I can't believe that they actually did that. A lot of people will get their affairs in order. They'll go through photograph albums and they'll go through, oh, do you remember with this, that, and the other? They're trying to get everything in order because they just have this feeling that something's coming to an end. I mean, it sounds to me definitely that they both knew each other in another life. I do believe in reincarnation. I've had that confirmed from the other side, that it's, but you choose, you're not forced, you choose to come back. And it sounds to me like obviously they have known each other in previous lives, and I get the impression that Ryan was an old soul, that he was, a very old soul that has lived many, many times and has a certain amount. It's almost like within each life, he has a job to do. And within that, when he's done that job, it's time for him to move on to the next plane or whatever. And so that, I think that's what's happened. And maybe within that, in his lifetime, when he's done whatever, maybe it's not just one thing he has to do, but lots of different things. It can be a kind word, a kind gesture, or a bit of advice to somebody, or to just influence, come into your life, both your lives. And I don't know, something in, even subconsciously, that makes you a better person.
That was his mantra in life, was leave everybody better than you find them, leave every situation better than you find them. Everyone he met, what do you want to do? What's your dream? Let's do it. Let's start right now. And he would, and that's what he did for people. And my mum says that she believes that he was an angel that was sent to me, and obviously everyone that knew him, of course. But I would love to talk to you obviously more about this, but I don't want to, bore everyone with my shit. But
certainly not boring.
No, it's not.
I just find it interesting that that you're saying that about the preparations, because that's absolutely what I saw. I saw it with my dad as well. My dad was completely disorganized, fractured person in every imaginable way. And before he died, for the first time, his 14 horses were all in one place. He'd had someone come in and organize all of his photos. All of a sudden, completely unthinkable for my dad.
A lot of people will have something will happen where they'll have strange dreams, or about someone that's passed over, or I saw my sister. She was standing in the room. That happens an awful lot. So there's different stages, and there's actually some good books on that as well, which actually help an awful lot of people that are left behind. But I've just been helping a friend of mine who, her nephew, who was in prison, allegedly killed himself in his cell. And of course, she was very, very close to her nephew, and has been, as you would be, bereft, absolutely bereft. Not only did she want to know what had gone on, because it all didn't seem to fit together, the stories that the officials were telling her. So she wanted to dig into it. So she was grieving and wanted to get to the bottom of it all. So she came over, and we did a little session, and sure enough, he came through, and she was able to ask him lots of questions. And he came through, and he tapped out various words and sentences. But the main thing that he said to her was, stop. Don't continue down this path of going to court and finding out what's gone on. Stop it. And she said, did you kill yourself? And he said, no. So there was more to it, but he was saying to her, I don't want you to pursue it. Yeah. The reason being is, and he actually tapped out, you'll make yourself ill. Yeah. He didn't want that for her. So she was crying and saying, but I miss you. And he was then saying, please don't cry for me. I am so happy. Please stop. And this is the thing. This is what I keep trying to tell people, is that it's so hard because we miss the physical being, and it's like, William married to beautiful Lucy, my beautiful son, who I saw, an awful lot, is now gone. I can't hug him. I can't, I'm fortunate because at least we have the technical thing of FaceTime. But my God, if we didn't have FaceTime, before all this technical stuff, these people emigrating, they're going, you don't actually see your loved ones.
Yeah.
They were gone. So it was a kind of a grief then, not so much now, of course, because of the technical side of things. But they're there.
Yeah, I feel that very much so. The morning, I don't know if Lucy had ever mentioned this or whatever, anyway, but I've said it a bunch of times.
I was with Yvette when they died.
Yeah.
The morning.
She's the one that I was with when you let me know. And that morning, I couldn't sleep. I was feeling really anxious in my sleep, and I woke up at about 4 something in the morning. I laid in bed for a while, and then I went downstairs, and as I was walking down the stairs, I knew. I just knew.
It's amazing that.
And I knew that they were gone from here. I could feel it with every fibre of my being. And I think that I liken it in my mind slightly to, when an animal knows it's going to die, it takes itself off into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's as uncomplicated as that. I think we like to be really clever as people, and we like to really think there's all these big reasons for things, and it's like, a conspiracy, or you're making it up. It's like, an animal knows it's unwell, it takes itself off into the woods to die. Why would we be any different? I really do sort of see it like that.
Yeah.
As far as the soul's preparing and all of that kind of thing. But I was wondering if you would mind. I did a couple of question and answer things on our Instagram for our show, and I was wondering if you would mind answering some of the questions from our listeners, just about your process, basically.
Of course, yeah.
And I have them here. Let me just pull them up. And I basically just asked the listeners if they could ask you anything, a paranormal investigator, what would they ask you?
Okay.
And so let me just
I love you, Luz.
look at these quickly.
I miss you.
Some of them were really good, and also they were questions that I had.
Yeah, these are all yours. Don't lie.
Okay, yeah, these are all mine, which I'm shoehorning into our listeners. Okay.
And then we'll let you take your tea and get off to bed.
Oh,
Not
fine.
until
I
you
could
answer these
chat here all night.
fantastically
Okay.
gorgeous questions.
Okay, so a lot of people asked if this gift that you have is something that you feel you were born with and had since childhood, or do you think it's something people can learn?
Oh, good question. For me, I didn't. Some people are born with it. I think we all have the capability of being able to be in communication with the other side. It's whether we want to or not. I've been told by the other side, meditation. Meditation is the way forward. And if you want to open up, if you want to communicate with the other side, you must meditate. And I've discovered that trying to do it before you go to sleep at night, or when you can't sleep at night, trying it in bed, it doesn't work. You've got to take yourself off in the afternoon, and you've got to meditate. And it's a very hard thing to do, meditation, I think, to be still. We spend so much of our lives transmitting, talking, transmitting. We don't sit there and receive. And I think that's it's an art to try to be still. So that's what I've been told from the other side. Meditate. So I've been trying to do that. And the more that I've been sort of doing these investigations over the years, I've sort of likened people like myself, sort of like little dynamos that sort of ignite these little sort of bits of electricity. The more you do it, the more energy you put into it, the more brighter it shines. And so you become more attractive to the other side. And that's why I believe this knocking phenomena, whenever myself and Carl are together, more so when we're together, that's when we have great communication with the other side. So I have more of a relationship now with my dad than I did when I did when he was alive. But he's alive, but I just can't see him. It's crazy. So the fact that I sit down and watch movies with the man, and I can feel a presence, but he's chosen the bloody film, which is amazing. And a lot of people would say, would put me, so this woman's completely crazy, and I'm not expecting people to believe me, but I know what's what, and I'm very happy with it. And and I'm not preaching. I'm just saying this is my experience and in my opinion. So you do have the capability to be able to talk to the other side. Anybody can do it. I think the more energy, the more time you put into it is what you get out of it. And when you go on an investigation, you can have a room full of people that really believe and want things to happen. And it only takes one person to come into the room that thinks it's a load of crap, and the energy just dies. And that's it. No communication whatsoever.
I agree with you. I really do. I mean, this is your world, and while I've always been very in tune since I was first speaking, I was communicating that this was something I was aware of. It's always been a part of my life. I agree that the more you do it, the more you're open to it. I think it's the law of attraction. Again, like with it not being complicated about the animal going off into the woods, I think it's a very simple law that we apply to everything else in our lives. But, when it comes to something spiritual or that isn't material and we can't put our hands on, we kind of, all of the laws of the universe go out the window. But I see it as the law of attraction. And I think that it totally is something you can grow.
Of course it is. And the other thing is, there's a lot of people who poo-poo it, and a lot of cynics out there. Sort of, oh, what a load of rubbish, or, all of that. I always say to them, there was some of the greatest minds and scholars of our time were spiritualists. For instance, Graham Alexander Bell, who invented the telephone, he was a spiritualist and actually invented the first components of the telephone to make contact with the dead.
Wow.
John Logie Baird, who invented the television, was also a spiritualist, and the first components of the television were made to communicate with the dead. Albert Einstein, one of our greatest minds in our history, has said that energy cannot die. So I'm a firm believer, and Lucy knows this, our consciousness, and Einstein believed this, once the body, the car that we drive around in has died, we've got no use for it anymore, that energy has to go somewhere. Yeah. Where does it go? And I really truly believe that we go on and we manifest into something that we can't even understand. Our brains are too small, too compact, too busy. We're too busy, pushing our thoughts and our, feelings out there, and chatting and social media, busy doing our day. We don't have room. We don't even have time to think about all of that. A lot of people would call it rubbish. But as I say, a lot of the great minds think differently.
Yeah. I was so not surprised at all, but blown away to hear about all of the fantastic scientific minds that have shaped our modern world were spiritualists. But not surprised, as I said. This is a really great question, and actually something I wonder a lot myself is, the question is slightly different than how I would pose it. It says, if this makes sense, can they all communicate? Or have some people fully gone? Like, are some people here and some people are gone, or is everyone still around?
Yeah, I get what the person's trying to say. In my experience, from what I've come across, is that they're all around. We just can't see them. They're all around us. I think that people or souls, if they choose to reincarnate, they can come back. But a lot of souls don't want to come back, as we've been told time and time again. They don't want to come back, don't want to come back. And time is so different on their plane to what ours is. Ours is incredibly slow, very, very slow. Yeah. When you go over to the other side, it's almost like, and this is going to sound crazy, but a soul can be in so many different places at the same time that will, it will be like an hour, 3 hours. I'm just using this as a crazy example, but just seconds to them, Yeah. and also the knocking phenomena. If you've not heard it, I know Lucy's experienced it.
Yes,
this also comes down to the other side. So the knocking that you get, it sounds like it's coming from the walls or under the floor, and so you can feel the vibration. But you see, I've asked them, and that's them talking. So that's their voice talking. But because they're on a higher, a much quicker and a higher frequency and vibration, when they're talking, it's slowed down, so like the sonic boom. So when the sound changes, you're hearing it like that. But they're actually talking.
Wow. Okay.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Why don't we try for it now?
Oh God.
Well, I've never done it. I've never done it on a Zoom.
My body's not ready. I think we need to prepare for that one. Just panicked me to
That's
death.
so interesting about it being the talking.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've asked them, and I've said, "Are you talking?" And also, I mean, you've been with me, and we've had them singing, and they'll tap out the syllables to a song, and you sing along with me.
Yeah.
We've had,
at our engagement dinner that you threw for us at your home in the gorgeous dining room, that is how many years old?
Oh God, that room it dates back to the 1400s.
To the 1400s. So we're all sitting around this massive wooden table, literally lifted off the floor. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Everything on it was all the water was going everywhere. The glasses were shaking. Everything was jittering on the table. They were singing with us.
Yeah.
We were singing and they were going along in the beat to the song. It was the most incredible night. And they told us so many beautiful things about how Will and I being introduced was from the spirit world as well.
Yeah.
That had all been put together by the other side, and none of it was a coincidence. They told us there is no such thing as coincidence.
That's right.
No, I believe that so strongly.
And then when we went in your shed and had the seance right after Max and Ryan died, actually, and right after my grandfather died, and the knocking came up through the floor, that was incredible. And then
Ryan said,
the next week,
Ryan said, "Am I okay to say what he said?" He said, He said, "I'm sorry." Didn't he, to you? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was his message.
That was his message, yeah.
Always makes me so emotional.
Oh, I'm sorry, darling. And then he said,
it's not. It's because it's so funny that you're saying that that he said that because it was about 12 hours after the crash. I don't remember much from those first days, but I remember I went into the bathroom and I was actually sitting down to have a wee, and all of a sudden he rushed in. And he was groveling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And I just was like, it was like I got like bum rushed in the room all of a sudden. I sat down and I just burst out crying. And it was like, if he was there, I would have held him and said, it's okay. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be sorry. And he does that sometimes. When I'm really crying or having a bad moment about, he just starts saying, I'm sorry. And when I say to him, it's okay.
Annabel, what you see, this is a lot of people this is so hard because I've grieved. A lot of people that will be listening we all know, we know what it's like to lose somebody that we love so much. And it's so hard we're human beings, for God's sake. Of course we're going to cry. Of course we're going to get upset. But what we've got to try and get into our heads is that they don't want to see that.
Yeah. And I know that.
It's upsetting them. They are, every time he sees you cry, he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So it's you've got to try. So it sounds awful, so please forgive me, but we've all got to be like, I don't know, not hold it in, of course, but it's almost like knowing that
be happy for them
makes you feel a bit better. Because it's almost like they're not all morose over on the other side and, oh my God, I feel they're like off having an amazing time. Yeah. But they're brought back closer to our level because of our emotions. We don't want that for them. We want them to fly and not feel this tie, but they'll always be with us whenever we want to talk to them, whenever they'll always come in and have a laugh. I mean, my dad spelt out, "Can you got a message from my brother?" He tapped out the word "dickhead" to my dad, to my brother. And then and my mum went, "Oh, for God's sake, Alan, can you just give Rick a nice message?" And then he tapped, "I love you, son." And then said to my mum, "Nice hair."
Aww.
And then I said, "Okay, Dad, what movie are we going to watch?" And then he tapped out the letters Magnificent Seven. So
I think it's beautiful. No, I agree. I haven't done the tapping thing, and I communicate with my people who are no longer here in their physical bodies, but it's just in a different way. I'm just not where you are yet.
But privately, would you like to why don't we, me and Carl and you guys, and we'll go into we call it the shed, and we'll go in and we'll do a little, and you can ask the questions that only you know the answers to.
Yeah.
And then he can
I would love to.
And that, I think it's all about getting that, not closure. I don't think that's the right word.
No,
it
never ends.
No, exactly. You want that, oh my God, he's
comfort.
Okay. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah. I need to know he's okay. And you need to know it's all right me spouting all this stuff and Lucy telling you her experience. You need to feel it for yourself.
And I think that's what a lot of people feel, a lot of people, and I get it, they need to see it to believe it. Yeah. I don't need to see it to believe it because I have had the experiences I've had. But I know that many people do. And I think that everything you're saying makes so much sense to me. And I felt it very instinctively early on from day one. And that they don't want, the sadness is a heavy weight to them. And I think that for me personally, I found it slightly difficult in my grief at times because there are other people obviously involved in this process, and the boys had many friends and, lovers and their parents, and there are all these people involved, and everyone grieves differently. And now I have found it to be very difficult when people are expressing their grief in a way that I would describe to be almost like quite Victorian, in the sense that it's like, okay, we're going to wear black and be sad, and we're not going to celebrate, and oh no, and the whole thing. For me, I miss Ryan and I miss Max, but the feeling I get from them and what they need and what I need, it needs to be at the center of my grieving is joy, peace, happiness. Those have been the words that have been coming to me. And so I find it really hard sometimes, and I feel like judged because I refuse to do this old method of grief where we're, wearing a veil and sniffling.
That's wrong, isn't it, for people to judge you? And grief is the most bizarre emotion, because just when you think you're getting over it, or, my dad's been dead for over 10 years, and I was only having a walk through the woods the other day, and I had this amazing sensation of this, it was like it was fresh, this loss and this, and it took my breath away. Well, I burst into tears. And I was actually, and then I couldn't stop crying. And all I kept saying over and over again was, I kept covering my hand going, "I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry for crying. I am sorry for crying." And then it went. Yeah. And so it hits you. And
it does.
20 years' time, 30 years' time, I'll probably be dead myself then. But,
you will not.
And knocking on wood for you, Lucy. I'm here. I want to watch some porn.
I want to watch a porn tonight.
I want to watch a porn tonight. Maybe just Dallas. Great.
Sorry, just me and my mother-in-law
watching some porn.
Yeah.
That's really interesting what you just said. Yesterday and the day before, so about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. the night before last, I had a real, I call them my exorcisms, where I feel
a good way.
Like death comes through me. You know, it's really interesting. And yes, it was very deep, and it was like day one again. And yesterday for me was really, really hard, and it felt like week one. I was right back at the beginning yesterday, and today I feel okay. But it's so interesting the way that you can be cruising for a bit, and then bang, you're it hits you like that. But do you have time for any more questions?
Of course. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
I'm another grape. I'm eating these grapes. They're very nice.
Let's give you 2 more questions.
Okay.
So many.
I hope I'm not boring
We can make
you.
this a 10-parter.
No, this is so fascinating. It's so fascinating to talk to somebody that actually
It really is, Yvette.
has had the experiences.
You've communicated with thousands of spirits, and you've seen death from every angle, every aspect, and it's so you help people so much, which you know. And
okay, this is an interesting question. Can anyone show up from the other side, or is it only the person you're contacting? And I think this is interesting because I can imagine mischievous people coming through, or maybe people on the other side don't want to chat. They're not ready, or you're not ready, or, what does that happen? How do you handle it? That happened to us in the
shed, Yvette, with my grandfather.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer, but just to say quickly, we were asking for my grandfather who had died a couple weeks before, and he was too weak to communicate. And instead, somebody else started tapping out a message on the cell phone where we use the keypad to use the letter that they want us to type out. And it was my other grandfather, my dad's real dad, who had died in a plane crash, and his message to us was, "Don't fly, ha ha."
I know.
And he was being so mischievous that night, and he wasn't who we were expecting to come through at all.
No.
Does a stranger ever come through, though? I think is more maybe what...
Yes. So,
and how do you handle it?
Well, I mean, I've done lots of investigations where you'll get negative things come through. So you get, I've had all sorts of things,
That's another question.
Yeah, 666, I'm going to kill you, follow you home.
Oh, they've had terrifying things on Most Haunted.
Yeah.
That's what one of the questions is as well.
Die, bitch, and all horrendous.
Oh.
Yeah, die, bitch. I remember that episode.
So
die, bitch.
Yeah.
The spirit hated Yvette.
And yet nothing has ever, but I believe this house was chosen for us. I really do. I believe this house was chosen for us. And again, we've been told, my dad told me after he died, that it was chosen because it's to protect us while we do all this work. And I really believe that. Carl and Stuart and Lucy will tell you they've been badly burned.
Yes, they have scars.
Harmed, scratches. Stuart still has the scars on his back. Lots of very famous cases.
Too close.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a scar that if they put their arms together, it lines up because something slashed them across both their arms. Yeah. And it lines up when they put their arms together. Yeah. Wild things. Yeah, all down the back.
Yeah.
And it's in real time. It's live on the show. It's happening and it's welling up and the blood is coming. Yeah.
What do you do? What?
You just I put in your boundaries.
We were doing a live show of Most Haunted from Edinburgh Vaults, and we were going live across the UK, but also live on the Discovery Channel in America. And it was the most bizarre thing because Carl and Stuart, there was a stone circle, and many people, it's open to the public, this place, many people that had gone down into these vaults were complaining of being scratched and hurt. We thought, oh my God, that's bizarre. And the people that run it said, whatever you do, don't stand in the center of the circle and start swearing or be disrespectful, because apparently it was a witch's circle. So Carl and Stuart, being Carl and Stuart, decided to be disrespectful to try and get us some sort of reaction. And I'm saying, don't be stupid. What are you doing that for? They're saying, because we want a reaction. So I'm stood with slightly in front of the camera that's going live across to the States. There's cameras all around that are also taking the feed. Stuart stands in the center of the circle and screams. He's got a leather jacket on and he's going, my back, it's burning, Yvette, help me. So I grabbed his leather jacket, pulled it off, and through his white T-shirt on camera, going live to America, you start to see the blood coming through the white T-shirt. Rip the T-shirt off him, and there's 3 huge scratches from the top of his right shoulder right down across his back to the top of his left buttock. And he was in absolute agony. The blood was coming out. Then Carl screams. 3 scratches on the back of his neck drew blood. The sound guy screamed, and he had a huge cut from on the side of his leg, from the middle of his calf, but on right down to his ankle, so deep that you could see the bone. He had to go to accident and emergency to get it sewed up, and this was all live on air. So, what gets me is so some of the famous cases, for instance, The Exorcist, the film, it wasn't a little girl, it was a little boy. And in that particular case, the church noticed that these scratches were coming up, and big welts and burn marks were coming up, but they were spelling words out on the child's torso. And also similar things. For instance, Hollywood has made The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The child in that wasn't Emily Rose, as far as I can remember, but it was based on a real case. Similar situation, scratch marks, burns, and so on. And a lot of these famous cases throughout time actually talk about burn marks, scratches, and those are normally more of the demonic, more of the negative side, and it's negative energy that's coming through, and it's really aggressive. And the reason why I bring this up is because we were just talking about the different entities coming through. Yes, of course they can come through. I'd heard about this scratching, but I'd never actually seen it for myself with my own eyes. And you said earlier on, Annabel, seeing is believing. Well, bugger me, I saw that and I burst into tears. I could not get my shit together on live TV. I couldn't stop crying, and I resigned. I said to the channel, that's it, I'm not doing any more. I said, we are delving into something that we have no knowledge of whatsoever. Even science doesn't understand this, so I'm out of here, forget it. And we sat up all night in the hotel room going over and over and over it. I was too frightened to sleep. I couldn't sleep for weeks. It was making me ill. And I resigned. Anyway, eventually the channel and Carl and the other team members said, please, let's continue. Let's. And I don't know what it was, but something inside went, no, you've got to carry on. You have to carry on.
Is that why you stopped? Is that why you announced in, was it 2010, that you didn't want to do this anymore?
Yeah, I'd had enough. I was becoming ill in my own home because I couldn't sleep, because I was so frightened of the things that I was seeing and hearing your own name being whispered close to you.
My God.
I mean, and then I started having nightmares, very, very bad nightmares, where I'd wake up and think something was in the room, and I'd be I had night terrors, and it was awful. And it was only weirdly enough, when a scientist explained to me what was happening. And a lot of children get night terrors, and it is where the right temporal lobe in the brain becomes so active that you can open your eyes and it will play out images like a dream, but you actually are. It's in the room. It's everything has changed. So it's so real to you. It's a nightmare you can't wake up from. And so this was happening to me an awful lot. And it was when I spent a lot of time with this particular scientist, I actually thought, okay, fine, there's a logical reason for this. Let's calm down. So I calmed down, and then I just got the bit between my teeth and thought, right, fuck them. Fuck you, you nasty bastards. You're not going to beat me. So then I carried on. And then I got very brave and I really got the bit between my teeth. And then we stopped filming for a while. And then I went back to being a scaredy cat again because I've had a break. I had a break from it. And then I was like, oh, my God, we're back into it again. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm so frightened again,
Do you tell them to bugger off when you can feel them coming in?
Oh, yeah.
The people
constantly does. She's on the show, she goes, oh, fuck off. Don't you dare come near me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny.
So, I've only ever had one really negative experience like that. And it was when I was at boarding school. The girls thought we were all into our little witchy poo things and whatever, and our spells and crystals and spirituality. And we were young at this point, maybe 11, 12. And some of the girls thought that it would be really funny if we did seance and a Ouija board. And so we did that. And I was on the outer circle. I didn't sit down at the board. I just wanted to be there. And there was probably 8 of us. And they became obsessed with it. They were doing it every break time. They would meet and do this Ouija board because they were getting results. So they were jacked up on it. And at first we were like, oh, one of you's moving the board, whatever. There was another girl called Annabel. And it spelled out Annabel. And it was like, which one? It wasn't me. If you leave, I'm going to hurt you. And we were like, oh, fuck off. Who's doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I'll break your legs. Well, one of the girls fell down the stairs, broke her legs that week. The other Annabel, this thing followed it was attached to her. She became ill, really, really ill. And it was so bad. We got so scared. There was one day where it wouldn't let us leave the room. And I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving. I'm not even in this thing and I'm going. And I remember I went and I told one of the teachers that I felt would understand. And he came in and broke the thing up. And the girls never did it again after that point. But everyone was so freaked out. One girl fell down the stairs, broke her legs. You know, this other poor girl was completely traumatized for months and months and months, became terribly thin and self-harming and all these things. And we could all feel this thing hanging around. So we decided to get rid of it. And we went and we read and tried to figure out how to get rid of this fucking thing. And we did that. But that was the only experience I've ever had where it was like that thing where it scared me to I wasn't even doing the thing. Yeah. And I was beside myself watching my friends get hurt.
I mean, that's
physically.
a horrific experience. I mean, the thing is, like I said, there are no such things as experts at this. There aren't. Only the dead are. And the thing is, there's so much we don't understand. We don't understand we don't even know why we're here. You know, if you are spiritual like me, there is a reason to us being here. What is that reason? You know, and we don't know why we're here. We don't even know what else the universe holds for us. And so, you know, who the hell knows how it all works, and you know who's going to come through. And all I know is that as in life, as in death, if you're a nasty bastard in this life, you don't change and become angelic when you go over there. You're still going to be nasty. And so there are as there is light, there is dark. So you know, if you do any paranormal investigating in the future, any of your listeners do, you know, you've got to be careful. I mean, I always do a little prayer. I have my little protection necklace around.
Put your boundaries in.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that I have protection on the other side. I know that I have my father. I know that I've got other relatives that are, you know, I always imagine them when I'm really frightened. I always imagine them standing around with sort of, come on then, you know, all linking arms and, you know, and that makes me braver, thinking, well, you know, they're not going to let anything harm me.
And would you say that's how you anchor yourself, with knowing that you've got protection, knowing that you say your prayer and get yourself grounded and centered before? Okay.
Absolutely, definitely.
We don't know any answers, so all we can do is podcast.
Yes,
we're trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
We're just trying to figure it out. So I think the last question I would want to ask, which would be really nice one for the listeners, I think we try and really focus on helping people, like you were saying earlier. It's why I come on here every week and humiliate myself.
We make fools of ourselves in the hopes that it'll help somebody
else. But remarks, and you girls are doing an amazing job. That's what it's about, isn't it? Helping other people, and that's what we're here for. You know.
Yeah,
we are. Okay, so the final question of the evening is,
and I think this could speak for a lot of different things, but specifically to this situation, is when you went down this path of becoming spiritualist and having these experiences and really putting yourself out there on television as a person that does this. Was that scary to put yourself out there like that? Because that's a big label to carry. You know, historically, you know, we've spoken about the labels that are put on women and witchcraft and all those things. You know, I've been called a witch since my husband died because he, so, you know, all of these things. So these are big labels, and you're known for it from that point. Oh, she's the witch woman. She thinks she sees ghosts, all those things. How do you sort of come out as somebody who has this as a part of their life, and how would you handle judgment, or how would you recommend people sort of go about coming out as this type of person with this type of interests and abilities, and how would you navigate people's reactions, negative judgments, and do you have any advice from that perspective?
Well, I don't really think about it, to be honest. I just think I'm so happy in my skin and so happy being me that I think if you don't like what I do, then sod you. That's, you're entitled to your opinion, and I respect that. But I mean, I've had death threats and awful things said to me. I mean, even on television, I've had, chat show hosts, actually, one on a big TV show in the UK, when there was a break and, we were all having a drink of water, break from taping. One of the guests, not the host, or was it the host? Well, it was the host. He actually turned around to me and he says, "I think what you do is really stupid." And action. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the host of the show has just said this to me. And I found that absolutely appalling. And then one of my mum's next door neighbours, who's religious, I went to drop off a Christmas card, and he opened the door and he said something along the same lines. "Oh, you're her, are you? I think what you do is absolutely disgusting," and slammed the door in my face. I was like, okay. I had a phase where if there was somebody from the church, they would walk out the room.
Oh my
yeah. So I've had lots of negative, but it didn't get to me because I just thought, no, I know what I'm doing is right, and it suits me, and I'm happy, and I'm happy in my skin. And if you don't like what I do, then that's your problem, and that's it.
So stand your ground.
Yeah.
Love yourself, believe in what you do.
Yeah.
And if you, I think my sort of response to that person and my advice would be, we talk about my therapist Jeff a lot on this show.
Hey, Jeff.
He always says to me, if you don't know what to do, don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I think if you're not ready to come out and say that this is a part of your life, then don't do it yet. Wait until you are ready.
Yeah.
And just be really mindful of who is in your life, who is around you, and create a safe space to do that. Make sure you are setting yourself up to be in the safest possible environment to be who you are, which is somebody that,
Absolutely. And do you know what? And do you know what? From a Stockportonian to another half Stockportonian, when in doubt, do Nout. There you go.
Yes. That's going to be the name of the episode.
My daughter's just come in. Say hello to my
Mary.
Hi,
Hello, Mary.
That's my honorary sister.
There was something going on, so I crept around
Yvette, I thought maybe you were looking at a spirit and saying hello. I didn't know if it was Carl or Mary.
She's got accepted to the RAF.
I heard, Mary, congratulations.
All the fitness test, all that sort of stuff. So I'm off.
Girl.
I got told by some guy that I was meant to be off next month, or this coming month. And then I got told the other day, no, it's 2022, so I've got a whole year to wait.
Well, no, it's not a whole year. You've got less than 6 months now, haven't you, really?
We've got an RAF member in the family.
I know, but how nice is that?
Badass.
To get more of her at home.
I know, you must be thrilled to get that extra time.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Yvette, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Do you know, it's been absolutely lovely. I've loved having time with my daughter-in-law, but obviously it's been lovely meeting you, Annabel. It really
nice.
has. And I hope I wasn't too passionate and going on and on about stuff. But
No.
you know, when you know something's
so
real,
fascinating.
you know when you know something's real and you want to, it's real, it's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, loved you both.
like that as well. We love you too.
Love you so much, and thank you for making the time for us
not at
and our
all.
listeners.
And carry on doing what you're doing, because you're doing an amazing job, both of you. For all your listeners out there who rely on you guys, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, as do yours. Everybody go order your book.
Oh yes, plug.
House in the Woods.
Order the book.
Pre-order it now.
Yay!
Yvette's new book.
Yeah, love you both. Mwah.
We
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.